Architecture is one of the oldest professions in human history. For thousands of years, the tools change slowly. Then, in the span of about 10 years, everything breaks. We are talking about AI that designs buildings autonomously, robots that print entire houses overnight, materials that literally heal themselves, and architects managing construction sites from the other side of the world without ever boarding a plane. This isn't science fiction. This is the decade we are already living in. Let's break it down, stage by stage. Right now, most architects still spend a huge chunk of their time doing the grunt work. Repetitive drawings, bathroom layouts, code compliance checks, revision after revision after revision, that's over. AI is eating the drafting board. By the end of this decade, instead of presenting one design to a client after weeks of work, firms will generate 10 or more fully formed options in seconds. Each one already bundled with a budget estimate, carbon footprint analysis, and construction schedule. According to a 2025 industry report, 68% of architecture and construction firms have already integrated BIM, Building Information Modeling, into their workflows. And 65% say it's their highest returning investment. The next step is plugging AI directly into that system to make it generative, not just documentary. But here is what's even more interesting. The job of the architect doesn't disappear. It transforms. The architect becomes an art director. They guide the AI, they set the vision, they make the calls that require human judgment. The Yale School of Architecture put it bluntly: AI can process parameters, but it cannot understand what the community feels. That responsibility stays human. And then there is spatial computing. Think Apple Vision Pro, but built for design. Architects and clients will walk through buildings that don't exist yet, in real time, together, from different continents. No more "I didn't picture it like this" at the end of a 2-year project. The guesswork is gone. Firms like Zaha Hadid Architects are already doing this today. The first stage is augmentation. The architects get faster, sharper, and more powerful, but they are still in the driver's seat. Stage 2, where things get genuinely disruptive. We move from AI assisting architects to AI acting on their behalf. This is the era of agentic AI. Systems that don't just respond to a prompt, but set their own sub-goals. Use tools, consult databases, and work for hours or days to solve a complex problem. Imagine deploying 3 AI agents simultaneously on a single project. One is reviewing local zoning codes and flagging violations. One is running airflow simulations to optimize natural ventilation, and the third is scanning global supply chains for the lowest carbon, cheapest materials available. All at the same time, all without a human typing a single line. Early deployments of this technology are already projected to deliver 3 to 5% annual productivity gains, and that compounds fast. Meanwhile, on the construction site itself, robots arrive in force. The 3D concrete printing market is projected to explode from $54 million in 2024 to $4.18 billion by 2030. These machines follow BIM files directly, printing walls and foundations layer by layer. No formwork, no wasted material, no human error. They unlock shapes that were previously unbuildable. Curved walls, organic geometries, load-optimized structures that look nothing like a rectilinear box. And the safety implications are enormous. Automated construction could reduce workplace accidents by up to 70%. Construction is one of the deadliest industries in the world. That's not a small thing. Then there is the circular economy shift. By the early 2030s, designing a building without a material passport, a digital record of every material's composition, carbon footprint, and reuse potential, will be like designing without fire safety. New EU regulations are already pointing in this direction. The goal? Buildings stop being the endpoint for materials and start being temporary material banks. This is where it gets a little philosophical. Buildings in this area stop being passive objects, they start behaving like organisms. Self-healing concrete, already proven in laboratory and pilot conditions, works by embedding dormant bacteria inside the concrete mix. When a crack forms and water gets in, the bacteria activates, multiply, and excrete limestone to seal the fissure on their own. No maintenance crew, no repair budget. The structure heals itself. Traditional concrete repair costs roughly $147 per cubic meter, more than double the production cost. Self-healing materials directly attack that number and dramatically extend structural lifespans. At the same time, architects will design with carbon-storing materials, mass timber, hemp, cellulose, turning buildings into active carbon sinks rather than carbon sources. The goal shifts from net zero to genuinely climate-positive architecture. And then there is how architects work. The telepresence robot market is forecast to hit $1.15 billion by 2035. An architect in Istanbul will log into a robotic avatar on a construction site in Singapore, walk the floor, check details, feel the texture of materials through haptic feedback, and then log out. No flight, no jet lag, no carbon expenditure. Leading haptic research from France's CEA Institute is already developing the sensory systems to make this real. As you can see, we can't invent teleporting, but this is the closest thing that comes to it. So, what do you do with all this if you're an architect or an architecture student right now? First, learn to prompt, not just draw. Generative AI tools are already here. The architects who understand how to direct these systems, how to set constraints, evaluate outputs, and iterate intelligently will outperform those who resist them. Not because they work harder, but because they work at a completely different scale. Secondly, get fluent in carbon. Climate data literacy, understanding life cycle assessments, material passports, embedded carbon is becoming a baseline skill. The Freyan Osborne study out of Oxford calculated that architecture has only a 1.8% risk of full automation, precisely because of the judgment, ethics, and human accountability involved. But that protection is conditional on architects actually owning those high-value responsibilities. And guess what? Carbon strategy is one of them. Third, rethink how you charge. Billing by the hour while AI does the drafting in seconds is a slow death. The future is value-based pricing. Fees tied to measurable outcomes, energy saving, construction speed, tenant experience. That's where the leverage goes. And finally, think in systems, not buildings. The next generation of great architects won't just design structures. They will design for a 100-year lifespan, for adaptability, for the communities and climates of decades they can't fully predict. The profession isn't disappearing, it's being promoted. Architecture has always been a reflection of what humanity believes is possible. And right now, we are standing at a moment where the tools are catching up to the ambition. The buildings of 2036 won't just shelter people. They will heal themselves, store carbon, respond to their environment, and be designed by humans working at a scale and speed that will be unrecognizable today. The question isn't whether this transformation is coming, it's whether you will be the one shaping it, or watching it happen to you. If this got you thinking, share it with someone building their future in architecture, and we will see you in the next one.